2016 Jeep Cherokee. So I got the rest of the story from the first video. This is the second video of why this did not have any refrigerant in it. So the rest of the story that I wasn't told before, that this had a radiator replaced in it up in Auburn, California. They didn't have the machine, so they just undone the line and just released all the refrigerant to the atmosphere. EPA, did you hear that? Auburn, California, a mechanical shop just released all the refrigerant to the atmosphere. $44,000 fine. I get my finder's fee, please. So that's the story on this. It was at one of those kind of shops, and they didn't have the equipment, and didn't send it over to one of their local dealerships or a shop who does have the equipment. And so apparently, hopefully, I'm just doing a simple evacuation and recharged. I used the nitrogen. I brought it up to 200 psi on the high side. This is one of those expansion valves that clamp down on free flow going through it. It just doesn't bleed off and let flow through. So even though I put 200 psi on the high side of the gauge, which you don't see now because I'm in a vacuum down to almost 1,000 microns, 200 psi on the high side and 139 psi bled through to the low side, and it just kind of like stabilized out there. So the high side evaporator was really never under any really high pressure. That could cause problems, but 139 is nothing. So I used the bubble leak detector on the seals that I know they reuse, because they're a shop who doesn't even have equipment for AC. They just bleed it all off to the air when the cars come into their shop, and replace radiators. And so I checked for leaks at the fittings. No leaks, but I know they reuse the same old O-rings. Since they did a radiator, I also noticed another thing. I noticed there's no coolant in this cap, in the radiator overflow. So I removed the cap, and it's like way down at the bottom. So they need more coolant in their system. Come on. Damn, how many threads do you have to put on this thing? And it's like right down at the bottom. There's probably a ½ inch of coolant down there at the very bottom. So I know they didn't properly air bleed out the system. They don't have a vacuum bleeder, and they didn't go through the proper air bleed procedures. So their system has air in it. So I'll let them know that they were at one of those kind of shops who do that kind of work. Yeah, that's about it. Let's see if this, if everything goes clean and smooth, there'll be no second video. All right, I'll see you guys.